In 2024, we posted 9 videos in our Plastic is in the Details series. And throughout those videos, we got hands-on experience in the studio and on the course with dozens and dozens of different plastics. But which plastic really stuck out to us? Hey everyone, it's Greg from Six Sided Discs, and we're counting down our top 6 moments, plastics, and more from the past season. But if you haven't seen those videos yet, this is your warning because there are spoilers galore coming up later in this video. So make sure you check the links in the video description to watch the full comparisons, analysis, and more from our Plastic is in the Details series. Let's get started at number 6 with Glow is always more overstable, right? Our very first video of the year was one of my favorites, where we put a statement I've heard a million times to the test. Glow plastic is always more overstable. Or is it? Well, to find out, we put a bunch of different discs to the test in both Glow and other premium plastics, and as it turns out, Glow probably doesn't have anything to do with it, because our results were pretty inconclusive. Let's move on though to number 5. It is a scientific fact that pretty privilege, or the unearned social, economic, and political advantages that people who conform to societal beauty standards experience, is very real in modern society. But does it apply to discs? Or in other words, we put to the test another common statement we hear: pretty discs fly farther. But as it turns out, not really. While pretty discs edged out in the final tally, this is a super small sample size. And with only one test subject, and many of you in the comments saying that in fact dyed discs fly farther, maybe there's a follow-up test that we need to do here. Nevertheless, it was fun to put to the test a more subjective idea rather than is one disc more overstable than another. Let us know if you want to see that kind of video in 2025. Next up at number 4 is Trilogy. Although Trilogy isn't really Trilogy anymore after this whole House of Discs situation. Do Discmania and Castoplast make it a quintilogy? Or if you have more than 3 of something, is it technically a cinematic universe? Anyways, there's still a significant overlap in production technology and plastics across Latitude 64, Westside, and Dynamic Discs. But trying to test all of Trilogy's plastic variations is a daunting task. Nearly as daunting as trying to explain and figure out what's going on over there at House of Discs. But try we did, and after testing over half a dozen discs and multiple plastics, we learned that while in some of our videos we are successful in finding a pattern, this was not one of them. Your best chance to understand Trilogy plastics and how they compare to each other is to get your hands on them and try them for yourself. Let's move on to number 3 and talk about overmolds. While MVP has propelled overmolds into mainstream popularity in recent years, overmolds are not new at all. This trip through the overmold history books took us from MVP back to Latitude 64's time making overmolds, which are still quite sought after as it turns out. Innova has tried their hand at it, Gateway as well. But you have to go all the way back to the very strange Quest AT Odyssey to see where overmolds began. This was a video less about comparisons and more about exploring and learning more about a small corner of the disc golf market. And I enjoyed making it, so let us know what you thought of it and if we should make more videos like that in the future. Next up at number 2 is one of the first videos on our channel where not a single disc was thrown. Instead, I put over 30 glow plastics to the test with a lux meter in a dark room and a black light and a timer to see which one's the best. Specifically, how bright do they glow and for how long. And while there were some expected results like MVP's Eclipse plastic performing well, there were also some surprises. Innova's new Proto Glow is super bright, but that brightness doesn't really translate to glow duration. We also met the most controversially named plastic of the fall, Discraft's Seasonal Glow, and it was odd because we tested 3 different discs and each one glowed completely differently. Given Discraft's reputation for consistently producing high-quality plastics, this inconsistency was unusual and would have been the most surprising thing we learned, if it weren't for the insane glow duration of MVP's Firefly Glow Vinyl. But coming in at number 1 for my favorite video in our Plastic is in the Details series was probably one of the hardest to make. What's the fastest way to beat in a disc? Well, as it turns out, there's a lot of different ways that work pretty well. When in doubt, you can always throw your disc against a hard surface like a garage floor, a tree, or just throw it over and over and over on the course. But what if you're on a time crunch and you don't want to wear out your arm or hurt concrete floors or trees? Well, it turns out there are 4 different effective methods. Repeatedly heating up and cooling down the disc in our fire and ice method of oven and icy cooler did a great job. And of course, no impact required on the disc. You can also opt for a hammer and anvil. This does minimal damage to the disc, especially if you use a rubber mallet. If you're really short on time and you don't mind scraping up the disc a bit, you could run it over. But that leaves some pretty gnarly gouges and dents, so I don't think I'd recommend it. Because by far the most effective method was much easier. Take that disc and toss it in the dryer with some wet towels on high heat for 10 minutes. Then take it out and bend it like Beckham. Repeating that process just twice made a pretty big difference in stability. Making these videos as part of my full-time job is a dream come true, and it wouldn't be possible without all of you watching. So thank you so much for your support. To pay you back for what you've given us here at Six Sided Discs, we'll continue to produce the best disc golf content we can. What do you all think of this series? And what do you want to see from it in 2025? Leave a comment down below. For Six Sided Discs, I'm Greg. Thank you for 2024. We'll see you in 2025. Hey everyone, it's Greg from Six Sided Discs, and we are doing something. But which plastic really stuck out? Hey everyone, it's Greg from Six Sided Discs, and we're recapping and counting down our top 6 Let's move on though to number 5. My favorite video, though, of this year and our Plastic is in the Details series. Let's find out. Oops. I really wish I could think of mean things to say, but I'm not a very mean person. All right, straight out of the dryer. Oh, it's really hot. It's really hot. If you like this content and want to see more, please consider liking the video, subscribing to our channel, or supporting us on Patreon. Your support makes this content possible.